Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And what are we talking about this time? Overwatch 2. That's a new one, for us. We usually don't talk about Overwatch. Overwatch 2 is killing the PvE mode it was supposed to be built around. So Overwatch 2 is basically scrapping the co-op PvE mode that was originally built as the big reason for the sequel to exist in the first place. Blizzard had a live stream accompanying the new Overwatch 2 roadmap. Blizzard confirmed that the original plans for a separate, distinct hero mode with open-ended progression and talent systems will now be replaced by regular co-op gameplay and co-op experiences baked into the live service experience. They say, with everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at this level you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver the original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. That's what the executive producer Jared Newis said. He also said, with that means that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term hero progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. Game director Aaron Keller added that the original vision for Overwatch 2 was changed to get something in front of the players sooner. So he said, we made a commitment to always prioritize the live game and to all of the people playing it and to devote all of our development efforts there. We want to experience it more often. We want you to experience it more often and with more variety than was originally announced. So they're basically going to, in their roadmap, they're kicking off these story events. So the first major story event will kick off a brand new story arc in Overwatch sometime in 2023 as part of Season 6. Keller also said that they have a lot more co-op features planned, some canon and some not canon. So basically, instead of, sounds like they were going to have this whole kind of PvE build a hero type of thing with talent trees and skills, and just kind of taking an Overwatch character, or maybe one that you create on your own, or maybe one of the ones that they have, from like being a low level to a high end through this PvE kind of system where probably where you get to play with your friends against bots and various other things like that, and kind of an RPG element in a sense, right? Where you're building a character from and kind of, or Diablo-ish in a sense, right? But Overwatch, where you're building and putting things into talent trees, points into a talent tree and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's definitely different than what Overwatch 2, what Overwatch is, right? They decided, nah, we ain't going to do that. Basically, we scrapped that portion. They are still coming out with cooperative stuff. It's just going to be like missions or like little cooperative PvE experiences, right? So maybe like cooperative missions where it's like a short cooperative mission, but the whole like expanding a character and things like that are pretty much off the table. They also say, like, way back when Overwatch 2 was first announced in 2019, we agreed that the cooperative PvE mode is what stood out and what made Overwatch 2 stand out from its original game, right? Because when we saw Overwatch 2, it was kind of like, and I think a lot of people out there were probably thinking the same thing. Wow, this looks just like Overwatch. Like, what's the point of having Overwatch 2, right? When it's exactly the same as Overwatch, right? Why not just expand Overwatch? But they had these grandiose ideas for this whole PvE mode, and that's why they decided, well, one of the reasons I should say, to, bring in Overwatch 2 to kind of introduce this whole different concept besides the live service. But, clearly that's been gutted. So for those players out there who play Overwatch or Overwatch 2, I don't think Overwatch 2, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so you can all let us know down in the comments, is Overwatch 2 as popular as Overwatch? Like, I don't hear as much stuff about Overwatch 2 as I did with the original Overwatch. And so, because with the original Overwatch, we would hear things, see news articles all the time about it. And then Overwatch 2 has been a little bit more silent, I've felt like, in the whole gamer sphere compared to the first one. But I don't know. It may be more popular. I'm not sure. But, that they are still adding stuff to the game. Like I said, they got the story-based PvE missions as well as new heroes and things like that they're going to be doing for the game. But the planned, kind of cooperative PvE build your own hero mode is what it sounds like. They pretty much scrapped that and gotten rid of that, which makes me wonder at this point, again, without it having that mode to discern itself from the original Overwatch, what, besides the feature updates and things like that, what is Overwatch 2 now providing the player that Overwatch didn't or couldn't, right? Blizzard tends to not make sequels to their games because they can keep expanding them. I mean, look at WoW, right? They could have made a WoW 2. Diablo they do, but for a long time, Diablo 3 was sitting out there. And if it wasn't for, I think the community and the fans, I don't know Diablo 4 probably would have eventually came, but, if they could get away with just keep developing one game and focusing on that, they probably would be perfectly fine with it. But, and adding stuff to it, that's what I'm saying, not just like releasing it and being like, that's it, we're out. They still add updates and things like that. But with Overwatch 2, compared to Overwatch, that was the main big thing that was separating the two. But what do you think, Patrick? What do you think about them getting rid of this hero mode that they were going to add into the game and basically just kind of gutting the thing that really set Overwatch 2 apart from its predecessor?
You know what I heard? Hey, Overwatch's player count is declining. We need to do something to get players back in here. Let's promise a single player experience and launch this Overwatch 2. Don't take anything I say with anything more than a grain of salt because I don't play either one. I remember watching the original trailer for Overwatch thinking this looks like a pretty awesome co-op PvE game. And it turned into be like a battle arena game. And I'm like, I'm out. I played it a couple of times. I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. So anything I say about the game is in no basis on fact because I don't play the game. I played a couple of times with you and Shane, and it's just not my cup of tea, and I'm not a fan of that kind of game. It's just not me. So I don't play it. But, the PvE content would have sounded kind of cool. The hero mode stuff did, where you get to play a hero through a single player content and level them up and stuff like that. But that's all I heard. From what I understand, Overwatch 2 has been more successful than Overwatch, the original. Like, it's sold, like, it has, like, I had heard somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, 3 times the active player count than Overwatch. They have the record of 3 times more than the actual Overwatch active player count did. So, if that's true, cool. It is Blizzard, Activision. They make good games, right? So, and it's just, I'm not, I played Little Heroes of the Storm, but I was a fan of the whole MOBA style game back in the day. Like, I played League and stuff like that, but League got toxic and things like that. But so I thought, okay, maybe I could do this, but it's just not up my alley. I'm not into the whole PvP stuff in games. I like my adventure games and my experiences and things like that, but this is just not my cup of tea. There's a few type of games that I really can't speak to. Sports games is one of them, and PvP games like this is another one of them. So that's your Modern Warfare, your Overwatch, your just stuff like that. Not my cup of tea. So I really don't have a leg to stand on here or the argument, but I would have played the single player content if it came out, because I think it looks like a cool game and I like the heroes. I just don't like the PvP aspect of it. I mean, I'll put it into kind of perspective. Back in the Counter-Strike days, I loved just playing our group of friends versus bots. That's what I did a lot of, spin up my own private server, throw in a bunch of bots in us and play until our heart's content. Because playing with other people can be toxic, especially if you're not very good. And I'm not very good at those games. I'll be the first to admit that I'm rough because I don't play against other players. So I don't get that skill set. And I don't like to play my games to where I have high anxiety levels, where I'm just like stressed and dying all the time. And I'm like, this is not for me. So I just don't put myself in that situation. But I think it's a little bit of a bait and switch tactic, but what are you going to do? I mean, Overwatch 2 was free, wasn't it? So it's not like they charge you for anything. They charge you for some skins and crap like that and battle passes, but you had to be playing the game that has been released in the format that it's been released. So it is what it is at this point. It's not like they charge you for a game and then change the model out from under you. So it's just, here's a free game. Here's some stuff you can buy if you want to play a skin, if you want skins and loot chests and all this kind of crap. And they talked about the single player experience, but none of what I've seen they've done so far should have affected that, should have affected your decision in that. If you're buying stuff in the game and playing it in PvP, then that's where you were going with it. But it is a live service game. I think Overwatch 2 came out because Overwatch 1 was declining in its player count. And they're like, we got to do something. We're hemorrhaging players. And anybody who knows anything about live service games, it's a rough market to get into. I mean, more have shut down than have come in than are being played today by a long shot. I mean, you have your popular live service games that are free and they sell skins and loot boxes and some factors of that, and that's how they make their money. And I try to avoid those, and I avoid those mostly because I'm not into that kind of, I never was into the free to play games. Even back in the old WoW days, they had plenty of free MMOs that you had to buy crystals and all this other stuff to level up or get the stuff that'll take you 50 plus hours in game to get. You can spend $10 and get it now, or, pay to win type stuff. I stayed away from that stuff. And that's what a lot of these games feel. Now, obviously, it's not pay to win. It's just pay to look pretty while you either kill people or die, right? Because that's what Overwatch and stuff is. You're not going to. I mean, some of them are that way, and they parade like they're not, like Modern Warfare and stuff like that is because you pay for experience boosts and stuff to help you level up faster and some of those things, which is a pay to win, in my opinion. You still have to play to level up, but you just get to level up faster than everybody else, which unlocks more gear unlocks and things like that. But I don't play enough Overwatch to know if they have that kind of stuff. So maybe it is pay to win, play to win, I don't know. But so I don't really have a whole lot of a leg to stand on here with Overwatch, except for looks pretty. Outside of that, it's no skin off my back, because I wasn't looking forward to the hero mode. I heard about it and I'm like, cool, if it comes out, I'll play it. Who knows what I'm pretty sure it wasn't going to be free, because most single player experiences can't be free. You have to pay for that. So it would have been a bargain bin sell type thing if I'm going to play this game. But that's me. Nick probably plays quite a bit more Overwatch than me, and that's not saying much, which I don't know how much more Overwatch you play than I have, Nick, but how much more Overwatch have you probably played?
The first one I played quite a bit. I mean, not a whole lot, but quite a bit. I mean, and I'm with you. I'm not very good at the game, so I don't play them too much, competitively. I like to sometimes, but I'm not very good, so I don't play them very often. Overwatch 2 I've never played. I tried to when it first came out, but the servers, like, it was right when it first released and I couldn't get connected to the servers. I kept getting disconnected and stuff, so I said screw it, and I just never tried it again. I know in the first one they just sold loot boxes, which just contained cosmetics and things, nothing that was player boosting or anything like that. So I would assume Overwatch 2 is the same, but I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, like, it is a free to play game. Two, the people who are playing the game or who are interested in the game were probably more interested in the mode that Overwatch is, right? The PvP mode. I'm sure there were some people excited for the PvE stuff, but I'm sure most people were probably, if you're playing Overwatch 2 today, you're playing it for the PvP mode. You're not like playing PvP just hoping for the PvE content to come, right? That's usually not a thing for most PvE players. They're not waiting for the PvE stuff while they play some PvP while they wait for the PvE. That's not usually how it works. They'll play something else waiting for the PvE stuff to come, right? Because I'm mostly a PvE player myself. I I'm not a big competitive player, so I'm not a big fan of the PvP stuff, even though I do take part in it occasionally, but I'm not as big into it as some players out there are. So, for me, if a game had PvP, it was going to introduce some sort of PvE thing, I would just come back to it at that time. I think it would have been cool. It sounds like a cool concept, and I think we would have all played it, especially if it had co-op, where you could do this. I'm sure all of us would have played it together and gone through it, and that would have probably been our experience with Overwatch 2 as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, really, you're not hurting the player base in this. I'm sure there were some players that are excited, but again, if you're playing it today, you're playing it for the PvE portion, not for the PvE portion of it. And if you spent money, and it is a free to play game, but if you spent money for the PvP portion side of things and not the PvE side of things. They are still adding PvE stuff, to it. Like I said, the story missions and things like that they'll have, which I'm assuming are going to be like smaller experiences than what they were, than the grandiose experience of the hero mode that hero mode sounds like it was going to be, right? So yeah, you can't really fault them too much. Is it really saying they've gone back on? I mean, they have, but I mean, are you really hurting anybody in that sense? I don't think so. And you might be right. They might have done Overwatch 2 because Overwatch 1 was kind of dwindling a bit. But yeah, I looked up the active player base, active player count, and it's pretty high. So I think it was I can't remember what it said, but it was pretty high. It was pretty high up there. So it sounds like Overwatch 2 is doing pretty well for itself. I just, and maybe for me, like I said, I don't hear a lot of things from it, but maybe it's because I'm just not playing it. So I'm not following what's going on. So for me, it's like, oh, they're not even talking about it. I feel like Overwatch 1 had a lot more things out there, but maybe it was because it was more new. And then since Overwatch 2, there's just less to talk about because it's the same kind of thing. But the players who enjoyed Overwatch 1 or even new players are coming into 2, and keeping that player base healthy. So, as long as, especially if you have a live service, as long as you keep with the content updates, I mean, that's really what matters, right? Things like Destiny and, all these other live service games out there, Halo Infinite even, has done a really good job of keeping, or Modern Warfare, the Warzone has, and Fortnite and stuff like that have been keeping really good job with keeping constant updates. And that's the main thing if you're going to have a live service game like this, especially having a roadmap, which they have, and showing, and as long as they keep to that roadmap, players will be happy and continue playing regardless of what they decide to do. Taking even the PvP hero mode out, it really won't matter to them as long as they have a roadmap of what they're going to be doing and keep that roadmap, right? And introduce some really cool features and new costumes and cosmetics and maps and heroes and various things like that to the game. Then people will continue to play until the server running Overwatch 2 explodes. So
until the esports dies down, they won't stop playing, right?
Right, exactly.
So let's add more hamsters to those servers, keep the wheels turning.
Exactly. Grease those gears. Keep the wheels turning. That's pretty much it. So, if you were looking forward to the PvE hero mode, it's unfortunate. Sorry. Looks like it's not going to come. But, if you weren't, then I don't think you would care less. But you can always check out Overwatch 2 if you like the PvE stuff. Like I said, I played the original Overwatch and I liked it enough. I had my characters that I like to use and stuff like that. But, I didn't play it a whole lot, but I played it more than a lot of PvE games or PvP games that I would play. That and Battlefield. Those are like one of the two main ones that I play if I'm going to play. But like I said, I haven't played Overwatch 2 at all. I'm sure at some point I'll try it out. But anywho, do you have anything else you want to add to this, Pat? All right. Well, let us know down in the comments below. Do you play Overwatch 2? Or did you play the original Overwatch? Or are you playing Overwatch 2 now? Do you remember the hero mode that they talked about in 2019? And are you saddened that it's gone? Or do you like the fact that they still are going to add some PvE modes and they have a roadmap out there for their next season where they're going to add more content? And, for you as a player, in Overwatch 2, that's really what you're looking forward to. Is just them continuing that season train and keep adding content to the game. But let us know down in the comments what you think. Also, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. And hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.